Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2019 horror film Blood Widow. Now this is a film that is co-written and directed by Brendan Guy Murphy, who also stars in the film. And the film also stars James Craven and Leslie Abrahams, as well as Hector Ayala. Now this is a film that focuses on the hunt for a serial killer. There is a serial killer on the loose who is killing young women indiscriminately, and there's two police detectives on his trail trying to figure out his MO, trying to figure out his next move in the hope of tracking him down. Now there is also, there's no other way of putting it really, there's a group of vampires that are also pursuing this serial killer, who is played by Brendan Guy Murphy, who is the director of the film. And they've got their own reasons for pursuing him. They turn him, so you are left with the dilemma of a crazed serial killer who's obviously quite, mentally unstable anyway, who has now been turned into a vampire, which has upped the ante considerably, which changes the dynamics of the film. His lust for killing continues. He just changes his MO basically, and ultimately the police detectives get a little bit too close. And then the game changes ever so slightly. Right, so that's the basic storyline here that we get with Blood Widow. What are my thoughts on this film? Well, it's a watchable film in certain parts of it that is let down in many others, unfortunately. There are some performances that take you out of this film, for sure. There's some not very good performances and poor acting performances on display here, that really do ruin the immersion. It really does take you out of the film at times. It tries really hard at times, this film as well, tries to be quite stylistic and stylish in its approach and almost artistic at times. There's the killing of like a ballet dancer, and I thought that was going to lead to something a little bit different, but it didn't. It tried to do something interesting with its visuals and its approach, and then it kind of just abandoned it, and it just went back to its basic storyline. And for me, the biggest issue here was the fact that they had this quite compelling serial killer, and I thought that aspect of the film worked. He really was this serial killer who couldn't stop, didn't want to stop, who was then given this extra thing to work with, i.e. vampire, and he doesn't really do anything different with it other than change his MO, and it gives him a few powers, to avoid dying here and there, but nothing really changed. It felt like, to me, once he became a vampire and he had all this power, if you like, that he would just go on a rampage, and that didn't really happen. He didn't really even change that much, rather than stabbing them to death, he just bit the necks, which was the biggest shame for me for this film. It felt like it could have, imagine a serial killer of the scale that this film shows is then turned into a vampire. Imagine where that could have led, and I don't really think they captured that, or they took advantage of that opportunity. This film could have really taken a different route and got really, really graphic and psychological, and I think it was a little bit of a missed opportunity. I do think Brendan Guy Murphy, along with James Craven, who was a veteran police detective on his trail, if you like, the both of them gave arguably the strongest performances in the film, especially Brendan Guy Murphy. He wrote and directed this, but he actually played a really creepy serial killer for the most part. I don't think we got to know enough about him. I don't think we got to know enough about any of the characters really in the film. There was a couple of veiled attempts here and there for you to get to know these characters, especially the police detective, but I don't think it didn't delve deep enough for you to care enough about any of these characters. And this vampire cult that was pursuing this serial killer, you didn't learn anywhere near enough about them. There was an attempt to give a flashback, to many years earlier when certainly one of them became a vampire, but it just didn't expand enough on that world, that underbelly of vampires. We didn't know enough about them, about how they survive, why they survive, why they behave the way they do in society right now. It didn't delve enough in any of the areas that it needed to elevate this above a low budget generic vampire flick, if you like. And the sound at time was really bad, very tinny. Some of the conversations, somebody might be talking and you can hear them better than the next person. That's a very tinny sound, and it broke the immersion. So there's too much wrong with this film. I could see some potential in it, but I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 10. There was too many things wrong with it, and there was too many missed opportunities with the film. But there was a nice idea at the core of it. So that is my review for Blue Widow. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and of course I'll see you next time for more reviews on Screen Stars.